This audiobook is not just a book. It is the final key, the last hidden scripture that reveals why your reality bends to your inner voice and how, once awakened, the universe can never deny you again. Introduction. You are about to cross a threshold. Imagine stepping into a cathedral not built of stone, but woven from rivers of light, eternal flames flickering upon invisible altars, corridors of memory that stretch beyond time itself. This is not a place outside of you. It is the very architecture of your being. For too long, you have been searching outward, in books, in teachings, in fleeting promises of secret formulas. Yet the universe whispers the same refrain again and again. It was always within you. The law of attraction is not a technique to practice, but a truth to awaken. Like a hidden door carved into the wall of your own heart, once opened, it reveals that the world has always been listening, always responding to your silent commands. You are not a beggar before fate. You are the scriptwriter, the actor, the stage, and the light. Every thought you nurture is a seed. Every feeling you dwell upon is water. And the harvest you reap is not random. It is inevitable. Perhaps you have wondered why it has worked sometimes and not others. Perhaps you have been frustrated, asking why the universe seems to favor some but withhold from you. The truth is more profound and more merciful than you can imagine. The law is always working, without exception, without pause, without flaw. It is like gravity. It does not sometimes drop the stone and other times hold it midair. What changes is only your awareness, your alignment, the frequency of thought and feeling you permit yourself to dwell upon. This audiobook is not another collection of theories. It is a living current of words designed to dissolve every last illusion between you and your power. Together, we will walk through parables, ancient teachings, and sacred exercises that will not merely inform you, they will transform you. You will feel it as you listen, the gradual but unmistakable rising of your frequency, the remembrance of something you always knew but forgot. By the end, you will not be left seeking another teacher, another method, another book. For you will know, deep in your marrow, that the final authority has always been your own consciousness. And once you claim this truth, the universe will rearrange itself in ways so precise, so beautiful, so undeniable that you will laugh at the thought you ever doubted. This, then, is the journey you are invited into. Not a book to study, but a scripture to embody. Not a technique to test, but a law to trust. And as you move through each chapter, the flame within you will grow brighter, until there is no longer any question. You are the source, and the universe obeys. Chapter 1. There is a moment, quiet and unassuming, when the veil of ordinary life begins to thin. You may not notice it at first. It comes like the soft turning of dawn, when the darkness still lingers, but a faint shimmer of light presses gently against the horizon. This is the moment when you begin to remember, when you sense that reality is not fixed, not rigid, not carved in stone. It is fluid, alive, responsive. Like clay waiting for the sculptor's hands, like the canvas awaiting the painter's first stroke. In this realization lies your first initiation, the recognition that life bends to the image you hold in your mind and the emotion you allow to flood your heart. Think of a river winding through the valleys, its waters carved through mountains, not because they are forceful in an instant, but because they are constant. The river does not question whether the mountain will yield. It simply flows day after day with quiet persistence, and eventually the stone surrenders. So too does your mind carve the shape of your life. The images you repeat, the thoughts you linger upon, the feelings you allow to bloom, these are the waters of your inner river, and though you may not see it immediately, they are etching into reality, patiently, faithfully, with the certainty of natural law. But here lies the mystery. Most people are not sculptors of their thought, they are drifters. They let the winds of circumstance carry their minds into storms of doubt, worry, envy, or fear. They mistake these states for truth, and so they keep carving rivers they never wish to create. A man who dwells on poverty feels it echo in his bones, and so the universe, impartial and obedient, shapes more poverty around him. A woman who clings to the story of rejection vibrates with its frequency, and the mirror of her world reflects rejection back again and again. The law does not pause to question. It does not moralize or discriminate. Like a mirror, it reflects what is placed before it. Like the soil, it yields what is planted within it. Once, in a village surrounded by endless desert, a farmer grew weary of drought. His crops withered, his animals weakened, his family despaired. He began each day cursing the sky, spitting at the dry wind, lamenting that God had forgotten them. Yet one day an old traveler passed through and sat by his empty field. The traveler told him a story. "There is a man in another village who once lived in drought as you do. Yet every morning, before the sun rose, he carried water in his hands from a distant well. He poured it over the barren ground, not enough to nourish, but enough to remind the earth what water felt like. He sang songs of rain, while others mocked him. And 1 year later, when the rains finally came, his field was the first to blossom because the soil remembered." The farmer sat in silence. He realized then that his curses had not been prayers, they had been seeds of bitterness planted in his field. The earth had only answered his frequency. That very night, he began a new practice. Instead of despair, he walked under the starlight and gave thanks for rain that had not yet come. He blessed his soil, whispered to his crops as if they were alive, and saw them in full bloom within his imagination. Weeks passed, months passed, and though the skies still withheld, the farmer felt different. His heart softened, his mind lifted, and one morning clouds gathered where none had been for years. Rain fell, not because the universe had changed, but because the man had. This parable reveals the hidden essence of the law of attraction. It is not simply about wanting. It is not the mere thought that pulls the universe into alignment. It is the union of thought and feeling, repeated with conviction until reality cannot help but conform. You are not waiting for proof. You are living as though the proof has already been delivered. The rain falls because you already carry its fragrance in your soul. The harvest comes because you already taste its sweetness within. But perhaps you wonder, how can you begin? How do you stop being the drifter and become the sculptor? The first step is to notice. Begin to watch your inner dialogue as though it were a script written for the stage of your life. Each complaint is a line rehearsed into manifestation. Each vision of joy is a rehearsal too. Your mind is the rehearsal hall of eternity, and what you repeat within it will eventually step onto the stage. So tonight, as the world quiets, close your eyes and allow yourself to step into your own inner cathedral. Picture a mirror stretching endlessly before you and see yourself as you wish to be. Wealthy, radiant, at peace, alive with purpose. Feel the weight of gold in your hand, the joy of laughter in your chest, the warmth of love in your home. Do not think of it as something coming to you. Think of it as something already yours, echoing now in the chambers of your being. The more you return to this rehearsal, the more the mirror will shift, the more the soil will bloom, the more the rains will come. Your life is not waiting, it is listening. Every whisper of your heart, every image you consent to, every frequency you sustain, it is all shaping the tapestry around you. You need not force, you need not beg. You need only remember that you are always holding the chisel, always directing the river, always planting the seed. And when you finally trust this law, when you live as if it cannot be broken, you will discover that it never was. Sacred practice. Tonight, before you sleep, choose one desire. It may be wealth, love, health, or peace. Close your eyes and imagine it vividly, as though it were already here. Feel the sensation of its presence, the smile it brings, the relief it carries, the gratitude it awakens. Dwell in that feeling until it becomes as real as breath. Repeat this practice for 7 nights, and you will begin to notice how reality bends itself toward your vision, not in force, but in response. Chapter 2. There comes a point in every seeker's journey when the universe leans closer, as if whispering in their ear, "Do you see now? Do you understand that nothing has ever been withheld? What appears as delay, as struggle, as unanswered prayers is not punishment, it is reflection." The cosmos does not play dice with your life, nor does it grant to some and withhold from others. It simply mirrors. The mirror is perfect, flawless, uncompromising. It does not argue, it does not distort, it only reflects what stands before it. And if you gaze into the mirror with a heart heavy with fear, you will see fear looking back. If you gaze with certainty, with joy, with the conviction that your good is already here, the mirror cannot help but display it. Imagine standing before a great hall of mirrors, each one stretching into infinity. One reflects wealth, one reflects love, another health, another peace. Which one you face determines the image you see. But all mirrors are available, all waiting. The shift does not require traveling across the hall or begging for access. It only requires turning your head, adjusting the angle of your gaze, daring to look into the reflection you once believed was too good to be true. There was once a man who longed for freedom. He lived in a small city where the streets were narrow and the buildings pressed against each other like cages of stone. Each morning he woke with the same thought, "I am trapped, my life is too small, I will never be free." And so his days reflected the very words he rehearsed. His work felt suffocating, his home felt confining, even his breath felt limited. But one evening, while walking alone, he saw a flock of birds sweep across the sky, their wings glimmering in the last rays of dusk. Something stirred within him, a vision he had not dared to entertain. What if freedom is not a place, but a feeling? That night, he closed his eyes and imagined himself walking in open fields. He pictured mountains rising in the distance, the scent of pine carried by the wind, the sun warming his face. For the first time, his body felt light, his heart unshackled. He lingered there, not as if he were visiting, but as if he belonged. Each night he returned to that place within, and each day, though his city had not changed, his heart felt freer. He walked with a different rhythm, spoke with a different tone, and carried a new certainty. Months later, an opportunity arrived unexpectedly. A distant relative invited him to work on their land in the countryside. He accepted, and as he stepped into the open fields he had seen so often in his mind, he realized The law had never failed him. The outer world had simply rearranged itself to reflect the inner state he had dared to embody. This is the alchemy of assumption, to live inwardly in the state of your desire, fulfilled until reality yields. You are not waiting for life to deliver a package to your doorstep. You are already unwrapping it within your soul. The taste, the texture, the fragrance of your dream must first be savored inside you for the universe to paint it across the canvas of your days. This is not imagination as fantasy. This is imagination as creation, the original temple of power where gods and mortals alike plant the seeds of destiny. Too often, people confuse the law with effort. They believe if they struggle harder, chant longer, or force themselves into positivity, then their dreams will come. But the law is not impressed by struggle, nor does it bend to force. It bends to surrender, to certainty, to the calm knowing that what you hold within is already yours. Like a master artist who paints with ease, you must move with grace, not desperation. For desperation declares lack, and lack reflected outward becomes more lack. Certainty declares abundance, and abundance mirrored becomes a world overflowing with it. Think of the soil again. If a farmer sows seeds but digs them up each day to check whether they have sprouted, the harvest will never come. Yet if he trusts, if he waters and waits, if he rests knowing the law of growth cannot be broken, then the sprouts will appear in their own time. So it is with your desires. If you plant them in imagination and then dig them up with doubt, you strangle their roots. But if you nurture them with faith, water them with gratitude, and shield them with certainty, they must rise. They cannot remain hidden. The soil is faithful, the law unerring. Now consider this. There are two versions of you existing simultaneously. The first is the self you habitually identify with, the one shaped by past stories, disappointments, and fears. The second is the self already living your fulfilled desire, the one walking in abundance, radiating love, dwelling in peace. The law of attraction does not bring you this second self, it invites you to embody it now. The more you dwell in that version, the more the outer world begins to catch up, until one day the difference between the two dissolves, and you awaken to the life you always carried within. Tonight, let me guide you into a practice. Close your eyes and breathe slowly. Picture yourself a year from now, living the life you desire most. Where are you standing? What sounds fill the air? What does your skin feel like beneath the sun or the cool night breeze? Do not watch yourself as an outsider. Step into the scene. Feel your body moving within it. Hear your voice speaking. Touch the objects around you. Allow your heart to swell with the joy of recognition. This is me. This has always been me. Linger there until the feeling is so real that the thought of its absence seems absurd. When you open your eyes, carry that resonance into your day. Do not search for it outwardly. Live it inwardly. And if doubt rises, if the old self whispers of failure or delay, simply return to the mirror. Turn your gaze once more. Remind yourself that reality is not punishing you, it is reflecting you. And every time you shift the image within, the reflection must shift without. This is the law. This is the hidden scripture, written not in stone, but in the vibration of your being. You are not waiting for your life to begin. It is waiting for you to assume it has already begun. When you dare to live as though it is done, the universe has no choice but to echo back, yes, it is so. Chapter 3. There is a sacred moment when you finally stop asking when and begin declaring now. This moment is not dramatic. It does not come with trumpets or lightning in the sky. It arrives quietly, like a shift in the wind, like the sudden awareness that you are breathing more deeply than before. In this moment, the waiting ends, and the claiming begins. You no longer see your desire as a distant star to be reached, but as light already shining within you. And as soon as you decide it is now, the universe bows in obedience. Consider how you have lived until now. How many mornings have you woken with a longing for something more? More love, more freedom, more peace, more abundance? And yet, as you reached for it, you whispered in secret, "It isn't here yet. It's still coming." Each time you repeated those words, you carved another groove into the fabric of delay. You told the universe, "I am a seeker, not a possessor." And the universe, perfect in its reflection, gave you more seeking, more reaching, more waiting. But what happens when you no longer play the role of the seeker, when you stand as the one who already has? Imagine a child holding a candle in the dark. The flame is small, but it lights the room enough for her to see. She does not beg for the light to appear, she carries it with her, and wherever she walks, the light goes too. So it is with the state of having. The moment you carry it within you, you illuminate every room you enter, every interaction, every circumstance. Life cannot deny it, for it radiates from you without effort. Once, a young artist struggled to sell his work. He spent years painting in the shadows of his small studio, convincing himself that someday, when the world discovered him, he would feel like a true artist. He entered competitions, sent his work to galleries, and endured rejection after rejection. His heart grew heavy with the belief that recognition was the key to his identity. But one evening, exhausted from his striving, he placed his brush down and whispered, "What if I am already the artist I long to become?" He looked around at the colors splattered on his walls, the unfinished canvases, the smell of paint lingering in the air, and for the first time, he felt it. He was not waiting to be discovered. He was already living the life of an artist. From that day forward, his energy shifted. He no longer painted to prove himself. He painted because he could not help but create. His joy overflowed into every brushstroke, and soon others began to notice. Without seeking, opportunities found him. Within a year, his work hung in a gallery that once rejected him. Not because he finally became an artist, but because he finally believed he already was. This is the essence of living in the end. You must clothe yourself in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Do not wait for the evidence to arrive before you allow the emotion. Allow the emotion now, and the evidence will follow. For the universe does not respond to your words, it responds to your state. And your state is shaped by what you dare to feel. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your desire fulfilled. Not as a movie you are watching from afar, but as an experience you are inhabiting. Feel the softness of the sheets in the home you have longed for. Hear the laughter of the partner who adores you. Taste the richness of the meal you share in abundance. Let the details wash over you until the scene feels more real than the walls around you. Stay there, dwell there, and when you open your eyes, carry the afterglow into your day like a perfume clinging to your skin. Some will ask, "But what if reality contradicts my vision?" To them, I say this: do not bow to appearances. Appearances are echoes of yesterday's thoughts. They are shadows cast by the old self. If you allow the shadows to dictate your belief, you will keep repeating them. But if you stand firm in your inner vision, the shadows will dissolve. Just as the rising sun makes the night vanish without effort, your sustained assumption dissolves the old reality without struggle. Think of a seed planted in soil. In the first week, there is no sign of growth. In the second, still nothing visible. But beneath the soil, the seed is splitting, sprouting, reaching. If the farmer declares nothing is happening and digs it up, the growth ceases. But if he waits in trust, watering and tending, the sprout will emerge. So too with your vision. Trust the unseen. Let the roots take hold in silence. Reality is already rearranging, though you may not yet see the sprout above the soil. You must decide then what story you will tell. Will you repeat the story of waiting, of struggle, of someday, or will you tell the story of now? Each time you speak, each time you think, you are telling creation what to reflect. And creation, impartial and obedient, delivers exactly as ordered. So let us practice together. Choose one desire close to your heart. Perhaps it is wealth. Instead of saying, "I will be wealthy one day," whisper softly, "I am wealthy now. My life already overflows with abundance." Feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude, as though the money were in your hands. If love is your longing, do not say, "Someday I will be loved." Declare, "I am already surrounded by love. My life is rich with connection." Feel the warmth of arms around you, the smile in someone's eyes, the security of belonging. Whatever it is you seek, live it now. Declare it now. Feel it now. And watch how reality, like a mirror, rearranges to show you what you dared to assume. Sacred practice. Tonight, write a single sentence beginning with the words, "I am now." Fill in the desire you once placed in the future. Repeat this sentence slowly until it seeps into your bones. Whisper it as you drift to sleep, so it becomes the final thought your mind carries into the dream state. Do this for 7 nights. By the 8th, you will begin to notice subtle changes, coincidences, opportunities, conversations, feelings. These are not accidents. They are the first ripples of your new state reflecting back to you. You are not waiting anymore. You are becoming. You are embodying. You are declaring. And as you do, the universe, faithful and flawless, echoes back your words until they are no longer affirmations, but lived reality. Chapter 4. There is a power hidden in plain sight, a power so simple that most overlook it. It is the power of attention. What you attend to, you energize. What you ignore, you weaken. This is the quiet secret behind the law of attraction. Your attention is currency, your focus is fire, your awareness is the architect of worlds. When you understand this, you stop scattering your light across fears, complaints, and distractions, and you begin to shine it deliberately upon what you choose to grow. Picture a great garden. Within it are countless seeds, some of roses, some of weeds, some of towering oaks, some of poisonous thorns. Every thought you think is a seed lying in that soil. But the soil does not discriminate. It does not say, "This seed is noble, and this seed is unworthy." It only receives, nurtures, and multiplies whatever is planted. And what determines which seeds flourish? It is the sunlight of your attention. If you shine your awareness upon seeds of joy, gratitude, abundance, and love, they bloom into radiant blossoms. If you dwell upon anger, doubt, envy, or despair, those too will sprout and spread their roots deep into your days. So often, people cry out, "Why does misfortune follow me? Why do I keep repeating the same cycles?" Yet if they looked closely, they would see the answer written in their own attention. A man who constantly fears betrayal is watering that seed. A woman who constantly speaks of poverty is watering that seed. The universe is not cruel, it is faithful. It cannot bring you a harvest different from the one you persistently tend. Let me tell you a story. There was a merchant in a bustling city, known by everyone as a man of misfortune. He would often sit in the marketplace, head bowed, sighing that life had cursed him. His business faltered, his home crumbled, his health waned. One day, a wise teacher stopped and asked him, "Tell me, what fills your thoughts as you rise each morning?" The merchant replied, "I think of debts, of sickness, of betrayal, of all the wrongs life has done me." The teacher smiled gently and said, "Then you are a faithful gardener. You rise each day and water your weeds." The merchant was stunned. That night he could not sleep. He realized that his mind had been a field of weeds, and he had nurtured them with daily care. The next morning, instead of rehearsing his sorrows, he whispered gratitude for the roof above his head, for the food on his table, for the breath in his lungs. His circumstances did not change overnight, but his heart did. He walked to the marketplace with lighter steps. He greeted his customers with warmth. Slowly, they returned to his stall. His debts eased, his health improved, and his home was restored. Not because fortune finally favored him, but because he finally favored his fortune. This is the law. Whatever you persistently water with attention must grow. You cannot curse the soil and expect it to yield blessings. You cannot water weeds and expect roses. You must take command of your gaze. Become sovereign over what you choose to magnify. For life magnifies not what you wish, but what you notice. Consider this. Your attention is not passive, it is creative. When you dwell upon lack, you are not merely observing reality, you are sculpting it. When you linger upon abundance, you are not merely daydreaming, you are summoning it. Attention is the chiseling hand of consciousness, carving form out of the formless. This is why two people can live in the same city, under the same sky, with the same resources, and yet their lives differ completely. One attends to possibility, the other to despair. One waters roses, the other weeds, and the soil, impartial, multiplies both faithfully. But perhaps you say, "It is difficult to shift my focus when the world screams otherwise." Indeed, the noise of appearances can be loud. Bills pile up, relationships falter, health weakens, and the evidence of lack seems undeniable. Yet remember this, appearances are echoes, shadows cast by yesterday's thoughts. They are not prophecies, only reflections of where your attention once lingered. If you desire a new reflection, you must shift your gaze before the mirror changes. You must believe in the seed before you see the sprout. A river does not ask the mountain's permission to flow. It simply continues until stone yields. So too must you persist in placing your attention upon what you choose, even when appearances resist. If you continue faithfully, the mountain will move, the mirror will change, the harvest will arrive. The law cannot deny you if you persist in truth. Tonight, I invite you into a sacred practice. As you lay down to rest, choose 3 things you desire to flourish in your life. Close your eyes and bring them vividly to mind. Perhaps it is financial freedom, radiant health, or a deep love. See them not as distant goals, but as living realities. Imagine yourself within them, smiling, laughing, moving as though they are already here. Then, as you drift toward sleep, whisper softly, "I water these with my attention. I bless these with my gaze. They are already growing." And tomorrow, when the day rises, return to this practice not as duty, but as devotion. Guard your attention as you would guard treasure. When fear calls for your gaze, gently turn away. When doubt demands your focus, lovingly decline. Return instead to the roses you are nurturing. Trust that the soil is faithful, the law unerring, the harvest inevitable. In time, you will see it. The world around you will bloom with the flowers you have chosen. Your garden will overflow, not because fate finally smiled, but because you finally looked with the eyes of creation. Chapter 5. There is a truth so powerful it almost feels hidden, though it has been with you since the very beginning. Your words are spells, and every sentence you speak shapes the architecture of your reality. You may think of speech as ordinary, as casual, as nothing more than sound carried by air, but the ancients knew otherwise. They carved this knowledge into scripture and whispered it through parables. In the beginning was the Word. Words are vibrations, and vibrations sculpt matter. Every phrase you utter is a decree to the universe, a command wrapped in sound, a signal that the mirror of creation must reflect. Think for a moment of how easily we curse ourselves without realizing it. A man says, "I can never catch a break," and life echoes back more obstacles. A woman says, "I am always unlucky in love," and the mirror answers with heartbreak. They think these are mere observations, but in truth, they are instructions. The universe, impartial and obedient, does not differentiate between complaint and command. It simply receives the vibration and multiplies it. The word always is particularly potent. To say "I am always poor" is to etch poverty into the stone of your being. To say "I am always overlooked" is to engrave rejection into the walls of your life. Yet to say "I am always abundant" is to summon abundance as faithfully as sunrise. Let me share a story. There was a seamstress in a small village, known for her skill but also for her constant lament. "I will never prosper. No one appreciates my craft. Life is unfair to me." She repeated these words daily as she stitched. Her work was beautiful, but her speech cursed it. Her neighbors admired her, but never purchased from her stall, sensing unconsciously the vibration of lack that clung to her. One day, a traveler came to her village and noticed her work. He asked, "Why do you not speak of the beauty of your hands, the worth of your skill?" She scoffed, "Words will not change anything." The traveler smiled and replied, "Words change everything. They are the loom upon which destiny is woven." That night, restless, she decided to test his wisdom. She whispered to herself, "My work is precious. My craft is sought after. Abundance flows to me with ease." She felt foolish at first, as though pretending, but she repeated the phrases each morning and evening as she stitched. Within weeks, her energy shifted. Her smile returned. She began greeting customers with warmth rather than resentment. Soon, orders multiplied, and her stall became the busiest in the marketplace. Not because her skill suddenly improved, but because her words aligned her with a new vibration. She had changed the spell she cast, and reality responded. This is the secret. Every word is a seed, every sentence a spell. To speak is to create. Even thoughts unspoken carry weight, but when released into sound, they carry a force amplified by breath, by vibration, by embodiment. When you say "I am," you are invoking the highest decree of creation. Whatever follows those words is etched into your being, planted into your soil, projected onto your mirror. You may wonder, what of truth? Am I to lie to myself by speaking abundance when my pockets are empty? To this I say, appearances are not truth. They are echoes of yesterday's spells. To repeat them is to prolong them. To declare a new truth is not to lie, it is to create. When a seed lies dormant in soil, the farmer does not say, "There is no plant, therefore it is a lie to speak of harvest." He speaks of the harvest with certainty, knowing it will come. So too must you. When your pockets are empty, say, "I am abundant." When love feels absent, say, "I am cherished." When your body aches, say, "I am radiant with health." These are not lies. They are declarations that summon the reality already waiting within the invisible. The danger is not in speaking abundance where lack appears. The danger is in rehearsing lack until it becomes your only song. Words repeated become states. States sustained become reality. And reality, once crystallized, feels so heavy it convinces you it was always inevitable. But it was never inevitable. It was spoken. Consider water for a moment. Scientists have shown that words directed at water crystals change their structure. Words of love create symmetry, beauty, harmony. Words of hate distort, fracture, disfigure. If water, passive and unconscious, responds so faithfully to words, imagine what happens to you, who are 70% water, alive with consciousness, vibrating with awareness. Every word you speak into your body, into your environment, into your relationships, reshapes the crystalline structure of your life. So let me guide you into a practice. Each morning, before you rise, speak 3 sentences beginning with "I am." Do not rush. Do not recite mechanically. Speak them as though the universe were leaning close to listen, as though your words were chiseling reality in stone. Say, "I am abundant. I am loved. I am at peace." Feel the vibration of those words ripple through your body, through your room, through the unseen fabric of creation. Speak them until you feel their resonance, and each evening, as you close your eyes, repeat them again. Let them be the final vibration your consciousness sends before drifting into the dream state. For dreams, too, are creation. They carry your words into realms unseen and summon realities into form. Guard your tongue as you would guard treasure. If anger arises, pause before you curse. If fear tempts you to declare lack, remain silent until you can speak faith. You need not be perfect, only aware. Each time you shift your words, you shift your state. Each time you bless instead of curse, you water roses instead of weeds, and in time your life will overflow with blossoms. The ancients were right. The word is the beginning. Creation does not start with circumstances. It starts with speech. The words you choose are brushstrokes upon the canvas of existence. And though you may not see the full painting yet, each stroke builds upon the last until the masterpiece is revealed. Tonight, when you are alone, try this spoken exercise. Stand before a mirror, look into your own eyes. Speak aloud the sentence you most fear to believe. If it is abundance, say, "I am wealthy now." If it is love, say, "I am deeply cherished now." If it is health, say, "I am strong and whole now." Do not whisper. Do not look away. Speak it until your reflection shifts, until you see the truth shining back. It may take seconds, it may take minutes, but stay until you feel the shift. This is the moment when the spell takes hold, when the mirror begins to obey. Remember, the universe is listening always, not as a judge, but as a faithful echo. It is leaning close to every word, ready to reflect, ready to multiply. The question is not whether it hears you. The question is whether you will choose to speak what you wish or what you fear. Chapter 6. There is a hidden kingdom within you, and the gates to it open not with keys of metal, but with the keys of imagination. For imagination is not idle play. It is the womb of creation, the workshop of the divine. Every structure that stands in your world, every building, every invention, every piece of art was first imagined in the silence of someone's mind. Nothing exists in the outer world that was not first born within. This is why imagination is sacred. It is the furnace where desire is melted into form, the loom upon which invisible threads are woven into visible cloth. Yet most treat imagination as a toy, as something to abandon after childhood. They see it as fantasy, as make-believe, as unworthy of adult seriousness. But those who awaken to its true power discover that imagination is not fiction, it is prophecy. What you dare to hold inwardly with conviction must eventually manifest outwardly with precision. This is not metaphor, it is law. There was once a scholar who longed to teach but found no audience. He stood in crowded squares, sharing his insights, yet the people hurried past. He knocked on the doors of universities, but they remained closed. In despair, he considered abandoning his dream. But one evening, as he sat alone, he recalled a teaching: live in the end. He closed his eyes and imagined himself standing in a great hall, surrounded by students whose faces glowed with inspiration. He heard their applause, felt the warmth of their gratitude, and breathed the air of fulfillment. He returned to this inner vision each night, rehearsing it as though it were real. Months passed with no visible change, yet his conviction deepened. Then, unexpectedly, he was invited to speak at a small gathering. His joy overflowed, and he spoke as though addressing the very hall he had imagined. One student, moved by his words, shared them with another. Invitations grew. Years later, he stood in the great hall of his vision, surrounded by thousands, realizing he had lived that scene first within his imagination. The outer world was only catching up. This is how the law operates. The outer world lags behind the inner, but it cannot resist it. The images impressed upon your imagination are not idle, they are blueprints. Reality is the construction site, and time is only the process of building. When you sustain an image with feeling, you place an order with the universe. When you return to that image with conviction, you confirm the order. And when you live in the state as though it is done, the delivery must arrive. But imagination requires discipline. Many use it unconsciously to rehearse fear rather than faith. They picture disasters, betrayals, failures, and call it being realistic. Yet the universe does not distinguish between imagination and reality. It only responds to the vibration. To dwell on fear is to summon it, just as dwelling on joy summons joy. The mirror of life does not ask whether you imagined in hope or in dread. It simply reflects. So, let me guide you now into an exercise. Tonight, when you are alone, choose one scene that implies your desire is fulfilled, not the process of getting there, but the end result. If you desire wealth, imagine yourself writing a check with ease or opening a statement that shows overflowing abundance. If you desire love, imagine the warmth of a hand in yours or the joy of laughter at a shared table. If you desire health, imagine yourself climbing stairs with strength or feeling the lightness of freedom in your body. Let the scene be short, simple, vivid. Step into it fully, not as a spectator, but as the participant. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, smell the air, and most importantly, feel the emotion of fulfillment. Let gratitude flood your being until the scene feels alive. Do this each night before sleep, for the moments before slumber are the most fertile soil for imagination. In that twilight state, when the conscious mind softens and the subconscious opens, your images slip into the depths of creation and begin their work. Persist, and you will find that the dream within becomes the reality without. Remember, the imagination is not less real than the physical world. It is more real, for it is the source. The chair you sit upon was once a thought. The road you walk upon was once a vision. The life you live now was once imagined, whether by you or by others. So take back your authority. Dare to imagine, deliberately, consistently, reverently. The kingdom within is waiting, and its gates open to every image you choose to sustain. Chapter 7. There is a secret river flowing within you, unseen by the eyes but felt by the soul. It is the current of belief. More powerful than effort, stronger than circumstance, it shapes the landscape of your destiny without your conscious awareness. Wherever this river flows, life bends to its path. If you believe in limitation, the river carves valleys of lack. If you believe in abundance, the river waters gardens of prosperity. Belief is the invisible architect of reality. And the truth that shakes the foundations of the ordinary mind is this: you do not attract what you wish, you attract what you believe. Consider how many desires have withered, not because they were impossible, but because belief did not sustain them. A man may wish for wealth, but if beneath his wish lies the belief that money is scarce, his river flows toward scarcity. A woman may long for love, but if she believes she is unworthy, her river carves the same loneliness she dreads. Belief is not merely thought, it is thought clothed in certainty. It is the soil into which every desire must be planted. Without fertile soil, even the strongest seed will not grow. There was once a young musician who dreamed of performing before vast audiences. She practiced diligently, composed beautiful songs, and even shared her work with small gatherings. Yet she carried within her a belief that true success was reserved for others, not for her. Each time she stepped onto the stage, her heart whispered, "They will not value me. I am not enough." And so, no matter how skillful she was, the energy she carried cloaked her in invisibility. Opportunities slipped past her as though unseen. But one evening, after another performance, met with polite applause but little else, she sat by the river outside her town and asked herself, "What do I truly believe?" The answer struck her. She had believed more in rejection than in success, more in smallness than in greatness. And so she decided that night to carve a new river. Each morning she looked into the mirror and declared, "My music touches hearts. My songs are treasures. Audiences delight in hearing me." At first it felt hollow, but as days passed, the repetition seeded belief, and belief, once kindled, began to carry her like a current. Within a year, she was invited to play at larger venues. Her confidence grew not from circumstances, but from the river she had chosen. Audiences felt her certainty, and they responded. Eventually, she stood before thousands, realizing that the only difference between obscurity and recognition had been belief. This is the lesson. Life is not responding to your effort alone. It is responding to your belief. Effort without belief is rowing against the current. Belief, even with minimal action, carries you effortlessly downstream. This is why some labor endlessly and achieve little, while others, with grace, seem to attract opportunities without struggle. The current of belief does not discriminate. It simply flows where you have set it. But how do you change belief, especially when it feels so ingrained, so heavy with years of evidence? The answer is persistence. Belief is only thought repeated until it crystallizes. And thought can be replaced with new thought, sustained long enough to dissolve the old. Imagine a path through a forest. If you walk it daily, it becomes clear, smooth, familiar. If you stop walking it, it grows over with weeds, and a new path can be formed elsewhere. So it is with belief. Each time you choose to affirm abundance, to imagine success, to declare worthiness, you carve a new path. At first, it feels unnatural, but with persistence, the old dissolves and the new becomes the effortless way. There is also a hidden ally in this work: feeling. Belief is strengthened not by words alone, but by the emotions wrapped around them. If you affirm, "I am wealthy," but feel doubt, the words carry little weight. But if you affirm it while feeling joy, gratitude, relief, the vibration deepens and belief takes root. Feeling is the water that nourishes the seed of thought until it blossoms into conviction. Let us turn to practice. Tonight, choose one belief you wish to plant. Write it down, beginning with the words, "I now believe." For example, "I now believe that money flows to me with ease." Or, "I now believe that I am deeply loved." Or, "I now believe that health and strength are natural to me." Repeat this belief slowly, allowing yourself to feel what life would be like if it were already true. Linger in the sensation. Let the relief wash over you. Let gratitude rise. Each night, water this seed with feeling, and in time, belief will shift. And when belief shifts, the river changes course, and your entire reality follows. But you must guard against contradiction. Too many speak affirmations in the morning and cancel them with complaints by afternoon. They declare, "I am abundant," yet later sigh, "I can never afford anything." The river cannot flow in two directions at once. Guard your words as guardians of your belief. Choose only those that align with the soil you wish to nourish. Consider the eagle. From the time it hatches, it is destined to soar, but if it were to believe itself a sparrow, it would never rise. Belief does not change the wings it already possesses. It changes whether it uses them. You, too, already possess the wings of abundance, of love, of joy. But your belief determines whether you soar or remain earthbound. The universe has not withheld anything. It only waits for you to believe you are worthy to receive. And when you do, when belief becomes the silent song in your bones, reality cannot resist. Doors open without knocking. Opportunities appear without seeking. Relationships blossom without striving. Life itself conspires to mirror the conviction you have carried within. For belief is the language the universe understands best. Sacred practice. Each morning for the next 7 days, sit quietly and close your eyes. Whisper aloud one belief you wish to embody. Place your hand upon your heart and feel the vibration of the words as though they were already true. Hold this feeling for at least 3 minutes, letting it grow stronger with each breath. Then, carry that vibration into your day, refusing to contradict it with words or thoughts. By the end of the week, you will notice subtle shifts, not just in outer circumstances, but in the confidence and certainty within you. These are the first ripples of belief carving a new river. Remember this always. You do not attract what you wish. You attract what you believe. And belief, once chosen, once sustained, once lived as though unshakable, becomes the unbroken current that carries you into the life you were always meant to live. Chapter 8. There is a subtle truth most never pause to consider. The universe is not testing you, it is echoing you. The hardships you face are not punishments. The delays you endure are not lessons imposed by some distant authority. They are reflections, pure, precise, and mercilessly faithful. And what they reflect, above all else, is the state of your being. You may imagine that reality bends to your effort, to your willpower, to your striving, but the deeper law reveals itself quietly. Reality bends to your state. What is state? It is the union of thought and feeling, the invisible atmosphere you carry with you into every room, every conversation, every moment. If thought is the seed and feeling the water, then state is the garden itself, the full environment in which those seeds are allowed to grow or wither. When you live in a state of abundance, abundance clings to you like a fragrance. When you live in a state of lack, lack trails you as faithfully as a shadow. The state you inhabit is the silent command you send to the universe, and it cannot help but obey. Think of two men entering the same marketplace. The first is burdened by worry, his mind replaying debts and disappointments. He carries himself with heaviness, and though he smiles, his eyes betray his unease. The merchants sense it, unconsciously withdrawing. Opportunities seem to avoid him. The second man enters with calm certainty. He walks as though wealth already fills his pockets, as though fortune already smiles upon him. Though he carries no more money than the first, people lean toward him. Deals flow easily. The same world, the same marketplace, but different states, different realities. This is why some strive endlessly, yet doors remain closed, while others seem to attract blessings without effort. The universe does not respond to words alone, nor to action alone. It responds to the state beneath them. You may say, "I am abundant," but if your state vibrates with lack, your words are hollow. You may act tirelessly, but if your state is rooted in desperation, the fruit of your labor withers. Yet one who acts from a state of certainty finds life arranging itself in harmony. A woman once longed for companionship. She attended gatherings, dressed beautifully, and spoke with charm, yet her relationships dissolved again and again. One evening, broken-hearted, she sat before her mirror and asked herself honestly, "What state have I been carrying?" She realized she had been moving through life with the silent assumption that love would abandon her. No matter how she smiled or dressed, her state betrayed her. And so she chose to change, not her outward actions, but her inner state. Each night, she imagined herself cherished, held, chosen. She felt the warmth of belonging until it became her natural atmosphere. Soon, she walked differently, spoke differently, radiated differently. Within months, love found her, not because fate finally allowed it, but because her state finally aligned with it. This is the secret Neville Goddard and other mystics whispered. The state you occupy is the cause. The world you see is the effect. If you wish to change the effect, you must first shift the cause. Do not curse the mirror for reflecting your frown. Change the face you show it. Do not lament the harvest for yielding weeds. Change the seeds you sow in the soil of your state. But here lies the subtle challenge. States can be stubborn. They cling like garments worn too long, heavy with the sweat of memory. You may desire wealth, but carry the state of scarcity inherited from your family. You may long for health, but carry the state of sickness rehearsed for years. These garments feel natural, familiar, almost comforting in their misery. To step into a new state requires courage. The courage to wear a new identity, even when the old one still whispers in your ear. And yet it is simple. States shift not through force, but through assumption. To assume is to step into a role as though it were already yours. The actor on the stage does not wait for the audience to believe before he performs. He inhabits the role fully, and the audience, seeing his conviction, believes. So too must you. If you desire abundance, wear the state of abundance now. Walk as though your life is already overflowing. Feel the relief of bills paid, the joy of generosity, the ease of sufficiency. If you desire health, wear the state of vitality. Breathe as though your lungs are strong, move as though your body is light, smile as though energy flows through every cell. The more you wear the state, the more reality believes you, until it must reflect it back. There is a practice I invite you into. Tonight, before sleep, choose one state you wish to inhabit. Close your eyes and picture yourself already living it. Do not focus on the process of getting there. Focus only on the end. If abundance is your desire, imagine yourself celebrating a great success or gifting freely to another. If love is your desire, imagine yourself embraced, laughing in joy with someone who sees you completely. If health is your desire, imagine yourself running freely or dancing with strength. Then, let the feeling of that state flood your being. Dwell there until it feels real, until your body responds as though it were true. Carry this state into sleep, for the dream world is the workshop where states are solidified. And when you wake, continue to wear it. Let your posture reflect it, your tone express it, your choices flow from it. If the old state whispers, gently turn away. Return to your chosen atmosphere. In time, the old garment will fall away, and the new will feel as natural as breath. You will notice subtle shifts first, a conversation that feels different, a stranger who smiles, an opportunity that appears unexpectedly. These are ripples of your new state, reaching the shores of your outer world. Do not dismiss them as coincidence. They are confirmations, reminders that the law is working faithfully. Persist, and the ripples become waves, and the waves become the sea in which you live. Remember this always. You do not need to force the world to change. You need only to change the state from which you live. For the world is only your reflection, and reflection is powerless to resist its source. Sacred practice. Each morning, before you rise from bed, pause for 3 minutes. Ask yourself, what state am I in? If it is fear, gently shift it. If it is doubt, gently shift it. Replace it with the state you choose. Imagine one small scene that embodies that state and let yourself feel it until it settles into your body. Then, rise and carry it into your day. Repeat this daily and watch as your outer life bends quietly, faithfully, to match the atmosphere within. This is the path of mastery, not to beg, not to strive, not to force, but to choose, to assume, to inhabit the state of your desire fulfilled until it becomes your dwelling place. And when it does, the world will bow, as it always has, to the silent power of your inner state. Chapter 9. There comes a time when the seeker discovers the most startling truth of all. Nothing is outside of you. The universe you gaze upon, the stars above, the streets beneath your feet, the people who walk into your life, is not separate from your inner world. It is a mirror, a stage, a projection of the images and states you sustain within. This truth, when first glimpsed, can feel overwhelming, even unsettling, for it means there is no one left to blame, no external hand scripting your fate. And yet, within this realization lies your greatest liberation. If nothing is outside of you, then nothing is beyond your power to transform. Most people move through life as spectators, convinced they are watching a film written by forces beyond their control. They react to scenes of sorrow or joy, thinking themselves powerless to alter the script. But the awakened one discovers that they are both the actor and the playwright, the dreamer and the dream. Life does not happen to them, it happens through them. Every encounter, every opportunity, every closed door, every open gate, each is a reflection of the inner atmosphere they have chosen to inhabit. Imagine standing before a vast cinema screen. The images flicker, the story unfolds, and you find yourself laughing or weeping in response. But suddenly, someone tells you that the projector sits behind you, casting images drawn from the reels you yourself placed upon it. Would you keep cursing the screen? Would you rage at the characters? Or would you turn and choose a new reel? This is the essence of creation. Life is not the screen, it is the projection of your own consciousness. There was once a man who felt cursed by betrayal. Friends cheated him, business partners deceived him, lovers left him. He grew bitter, convinced that the world itself was cruel. But a teacher one day asked him, "What do you expect from people when you meet them?" The man thought for a moment and admitted, "I expect them to take advantage of me." The teacher nodded gently and said, "Then the world only fulfills your script. Change the script, and the actors will change their lines." Though skeptical, the man decided to test the teaching. Each night before sleep, he imagined himself surrounded by loyal friends, honest partners, loving companions. He felt the safety of trust, the joy of belonging. Within weeks, his outer world shifted. The disloyal drifted away, and new relationships blossomed, reflecting his new inner expectation. The world had not conspired against him. It had simply mirrored him faithfully. This is the heart of the law. Outer reality cannot resist the inner command. It is not separate, not independent, not random. It is an echo. If the echo displeases you, do not shout louder. Change the words you speak into the canyon. If the reflection disturbs you, do not smash the mirror. Change the expression you wear upon your face. But here is the mystery. Most resist this truth because it strips away their excuses. To believe the world is external gives us someone to blame, a reason to justify our lack, our sorrow, our failures. But when you embrace the truth that nothing is outside of you, you also embrace responsibility. Responsibility not as burden, but as freedom. For it means you can transform your world at the root by shifting your inner state, your inner belief, your inner vision. Consider how often people pray for change in circumstances while holding unchanged states within. A man prays for wealth while clinging to the belief that money is evil. A woman prays for love while secretly fearing rejection. Their words reach upward, but their states reach outward, and the universe responds not to the words, but to the state. Prayer is answered not when lips move, but when the heart inhabits the end. To pray for abundance is to live as though it were already here. To pray for love is to feel cherished now. To pray for health is to dwell in the joy of vitality now. Let me share another story. A widow in a small town prayed nightly for companionship, yet year after year she remained alone. Her heart grew weary, and one evening she wept, asking aloud, "Why have I been denied?" A quiet voice within answered, "Because you have prayed as though you are lacking. You have asked from the state of emptiness. Pray as though it is done." That night she closed her eyes and imagined herself sitting by the fire, hand in hand with another, laughing at shared memories. She felt the warmth of belonging until it filled her chest with peace. She no longer prayed for someone to come. She lived as though they had already arrived. Within months, a friendship blossomed into love, and her nights of loneliness gave way to companionship. The universe is merciful, but it is precise. It cannot reflect a state you do not occupy. It cannot give to you what you refuse to claim within. This is why imagination and belief are not mere practices. They are the very levers of creation. When you live inwardly in the reality you desire, the world must echo it outwardly. So let us move into practice. Tonight, I invite you to close your eyes and choose one aspect of your world that feels resistant. Perhaps it is money, love, health, or purpose. Do not curse the outer appearance. Instead, recognize it as a mirror reflecting an inner state. Then ask yourself gently, what state must I be occupying for this to appear? If the answer is lack, unworthiness, fear, then decide now to change the state. Imagine the opposite as though it is already true. Feel it until the old state loosens its grip. Repeat this nightly until the new state feels natural. And watch, as surely as dawn follows night, the outer reflection change. The mirror does not argue. The projector does not rebel. They only reflect what is placed before them. And when you finally accept that nothing is outside of you, you reclaim the authority you unknowingly surrendered. You cease being a spectator in a film you despise and become the author of a story you love. There will be moments of doubt, moments when the old reflections linger. Do not despair. Just as the echo of your voice continues for a moment even after you stop speaking, so too do old states echo in your world for a time. But if you persist in the new state, the echoes fade, and the new reality takes center stage. Patience, then, is not waiting in despair. It is trusting the law while the echoes dissolve. Sacred practice. Each morning stand before a mirror. Instead of asking, "What does the world hold for me today?" ask, "What state will I hold today?" Choose deliberately. Declare aloud, "Today I live in the state of abundance," or "Today I live in the state of joy," or "Today I live in the state of love." Then carry that declaration as your atmosphere. When the world reflects old echoes, remind yourself, this is not current, it is past. My present state is creating new reflections. Hold fast, and the mirror must obey. The universe is not testing you, it is echoing you. Nothing is outside of you. And once you live by this truth, life becomes not a battleground, but a canvas, not a struggle, but a stage where your chosen states bloom into scenes of beauty. Chapter 10. There is a rhythm to creation, a quiet pulse that beats beneath all things. You can hear it if you listen closely, not with your ears, but with your awareness. It is the rhythm of cause and effect, of seed and harvest, of state and reflection. And the most profound realization you can come to is this: you are always creating, whether consciously or not. Every breath, every thought, every feeling, every assumption is painting the canvas of your days. You cannot stop this law any more than you can stop gravity. The question is not whether you are creating, it is whether you are creating deliberately. Most people live as sleepwalkers. They drift through their hours on the winds of habit, repeating the same thoughts, rehearsing the same emotions, telling the same stories. They wonder why their lives seem to circle endlessly, why change eludes them, why blessings seem to fall into others' laps while theirs remain empty. Yet if you listen to their conversations, you will hear the truth. They say, "Nothing ever works out for me." They sigh, "Life is unfair." They whisper, "I will never get ahead." These are not harmless words. They are spells, repeated with the conviction of belief, rehearsed into the bones until they become law. And the universe, ever faithful, reflects them back. But when you awaken, when you realize that you are the author rather than the victim, the rhythm of creation becomes your ally. No longer do you scatter seeds unconsciously, you choose them. No longer do you lament the harvest, you shape it. You begin to live deliberately, to write your story with intention, to turn your awareness into a brush that paints your world in colors of your choosing. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of marble. The marble holds infinite possibilities: a saint, a warrior, an angel, a beast. The sculptor's chisel determines what emerges. You, too, stand before the raw marble of existence. Each thought is a stroke of the chisel, each feeling a contour carved into stone, each belief a line etched into eternity. And the figure that emerges, whether radiant or distorted, is not random. It is the inevitable result of your sustained chiseling. The marble will not resist you, nor will it decide for you. It only reflects the hand that shapes it. A man once complained to a mystic that his life was filled with sorrow. He spoke of debts, of betrayal, of endless disappointment. The mystic listened patiently, then asked, "What do you imagine when you are alone?" The man paused, then admitted, "I imagine myself failing. I replay the betrayals. I see myself sinking deeper into despair." The mystic replied, "Then you are faithful to your imagination, and life is faithful to you." Shocked, the man asked, "What should I imagine instead?" The mystic smiled and said, "Imagine only what you wish to live. Live it inwardly until the outer must yield." The man took the advice reluctantly, but soon discovered its truth. Each night, instead of rehearsing failure, he imagined victory. He felt the relief of debts paid, the joy of loyal companions, the strength of a life restored. At first, it felt like fantasy, but as he persisted, the feelings grew real. His posture changed. His voice grew firm. His choices reflected his new vision. Slowly, his world shifted to match his inner rhythm. Within a year, the sorrows that once bound him had dissolved, replaced by opportunities and blessings that seemed miraculous. But they were not miracles. They were reflections. This is the hidden power of persistence. One vision held briefly may flicker and fade, but a vision held daily becomes a fire that the universe cannot ignore. Repetition engraves the state into your being until it becomes natural, and once it is natural, reality has no choice but to obey. For the law does not respond to wishes, it responds to the state you embody. But here lies the key. The state is not built only in moments of meditation or imagination. It is built in the ordinary moments too. When you walk down the street, when you speak to a stranger, when you sit alone in silence, what atmosphere do you carry? Do you walk in lack or in abundance? Do you speak in fear or in love? Do you sit in despair or in joy? Each moment is a rehearsal, and life faithfully echoes what you rehearse. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude is not merely politeness. It is a state, a vibration that declares, I already have. And when you live as though you already have, the mirror reflects more to be grateful for. Gratitude is not a trick to get blessings. It is the state of already being blessed. And when you dwell in it, the rhythm of creation multiplies it. Let us move now into a sacred practice. Tonight, before you sleep, choose one memory of joy, no matter how small. Perhaps it was a moment of laughter, a kind word, a warm meal. Close your eyes and relive it. Feel the gratitude as though it were happening now. Then, imagine the life you desire and layer that same gratitude upon it. Feel thankful not only for what has been, but for what already exists in the unseen. Whisper softly, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Let these words be your final vibration before sleep, and you will carry gratitude into the dream state, where creation weaves your desires into form. In the morning, carry this rhythm forward. Do not allow your mind to drift back into complaint. Guard your attention. When the old state whispers, remind yourself, that was the past. My present state is abundance. My present state is love. My present state is joy. Return again and again until it becomes natural. And when it is natural, reality must bend. Understand this: the law is impartial. It does not favor the saint over the sinner, the rich over the poor, the hopeful over the hopeless. It favors only the state. If you embody abundance, it reflects abundance. If you embody lack, it reflects lack. The choice is yours, always yours. This is both the burden and the glory of consciousness. But when you embrace it, when you take responsibility for your inner rhythm, you discover the greatest freedom of all. You are never at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of you. Not the small self, not the anxious mind, but the deeper self that dares to assume, to persist, to believe. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, set aside 5 minutes each morning. Close your eyes and declare aloud, "Today, I live in the state of my desire fulfilled." Then imagine one simple act from that state: a phone call received, a meal shared, a smile exchanged. Let it feel ordinary, natural, as though it has always been so. Carry that scene with you throughout the day, and when doubts arise, return to it. This practice is not about convincing the universe. It is about convincing yourself. And once you are convinced, the universe must obey. Remember, you are always creating. The question is not whether, but how. Not whether the law is working, but whether you are guiding it. The rhythm of creation is steady, faithful, unbroken. Align yourself with it, and life becomes not a struggle, but a dance. Each step guided by the silent music of your inner state, each movement echoed in the world around you. Chapter 11. Everywhere you look, life is whispering, "You are the center of creation." Yet because the whispers are soft, many overlook them. They wait for thunder, for signs in the sky, for voices that roar from the heavens. But the universe does not speak in noise. It speaks in reflection. It speaks in the quiet arrangement of circumstances, in the way doors open or close, in the subtle rhythm of what repeats in your life until you notice the pattern. And the pattern is always pointing back to you. You may believe that your life is shaped by luck, by fate, by the will of others. But the deeper law reveals itself only to those who are willing to look within. Everything you see is flowing outward from you. The abundance you celebrate, the struggles you lament, the people you draw near, the opportunities you encounter, all of it is responding to your inner state. When you shift, the world shifts. When you persist in a new state, reality bends itself into harmony with your conviction. This is not poetic metaphor. It is precise spiritual law. Imagine the sun rising. Its light falls upon a meadow, and the meadow responds. Flowers open, animals stir, shadows dissolve. The sun does not demand, it does not force, it simply shines. And its state of shining creates the response around it. So too with you. The light you emit through your inner state creates ripples in the field of reality. When you dwell in fear, the world mirrors it with events that confirm your fear. When you dwell in joy, the world conspires to echo joy. Your inner light determines what blossoms in your meadow. There was once a traveler who complained constantly of the villages he passed through. In one, he found dishonesty, in another cruelty, in the next selfishness. At last he came to a wise elder and asked, "Why is the world so filled with wickedness?" The elder replied, "Tell me, what do you carry in your heart?" The traveler admitted, "Suspicion, resentment, anger." The elder nodded. "Then do not be surprised. The world you walk through is a mirror. If you wish to see kindness, carry kindness. If you wish to see loyalty, carry loyalty. The villages are not showing you who they are showing you who you are." This story reveals what many resist. The world does not exist to change before you are happy. You must change first, and the world will echo your transformation. If you wait for life to shift before you shift, you will wait forever. But if you dare to live now as though your desire is fulfilled, the mirror cannot resist. It must rearrange. Think of a woman who longs for prosperity. Each day she counts her coins, sighs at her debts, and prays for abundance. Yet beneath her prayers, her state is one of lack. She speaks of lack, feels lack, dwells in lack, and so life reflects lack. But when she changes, not her bank account first, but her state first, everything begins to move. She begins to feel wealthy before the evidence appears. She thanks the universe as though her needs are already met. She walks with dignity, speaks with generosity, breathes with ease, and slowly but inevitably, her circumstances echo her new state. Prosperity arrives not as a miracle, but as reflection. This is why the mystics teach, live in the end. Do not wait for outer proof. Do not beg reality to confirm your vision. Confirm it within, and reality must follow. Your inner state is not secondary, it is the cause. The outer world is the effect, and effect cannot resist cause. But how do you persist when appearances seem so loud? How do you hold to abundance when bills pile up? How do you feel love when loneliness presses? How do you stand in health when your body aches? The answer is faith. Not blind faith, but faith in law, faith in reflection, faith that the soil does not betray the seed, that the mirror does not betray the image. Faith that what you dwell upon within must one day crystallize without. Faith is not denial. Faith does not say, "This pain does not exist." Faith says, "This pain is the shadow of an old state, and I choose a new one." Faith is not pretending. Faith is inhabiting the state you desire until the world catches up. It is choosing to rehearse joy inwardly, even when sorrow knocks at your door, knowing that the rehearsal will become reality if you persist. Let me offer you a practice. Tonight, as you lie down, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Picture your life exactly as you wish it to be. Not as something you are striving for, but as something already true. Walk through the rooms of the home you desire, touch the objects, smell the air, hear the laughter. Feel the relief of problems solved, the joy of dreams fulfilled. Then whisper softly, "This is now. This is my state. This is my reality." Drift into sleep with that vision alive, and your subconscious will carry it into creation. Do this not once, but nightly. Persistence engraves the state into your being, and when the state is natural, the outer world must obey. You will know it is working when you begin to feel a subtle shift, not necessarily in circumstances first, but in yourself. You will feel lighter, calmer, more certain. And from that certainty, doors will open, opportunities will appear, synchronicities will multiply. The rhythm of creation will begin to move in your favor because you have aligned with it inwardly. Understand this: reality does not resist you, it reflects you. The delays you see are not denial, they are simply the echo of old states fading away. Do not curse the echo. Do not lose faith because the shadow lingers. Persist in the light, and the shadow must vanish. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, when you wake in the morning, ask yourself, what world am I choosing today? Then, before rising, spend 3 minutes imagining one scene from that chosen world. If your desire is wealth, imagine yourself purchasing something with ease. If your desire is love, imagine yourself embraced. If your desire is health, imagine yourself moving with strength. Let the scene feel ordinary, natural, simple. Then, carry that feeling into your day. Each time the old world tries to demand your attention, remind yourself, that was yesterday's reflection. Today, I live in a new state. If you persist, you will find yourself stepping into a world you once thought impossible. Not because fate suddenly turned, not because luck finally found you, but because you finally accepted the truth. Nothing is outside of you, and the universe must reflect the state you sustain. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the projector and the film. You are the sun and the meadow it awakens. All along, you have been waiting for life to change, not realizing that life was waiting for you. And now you know the secret. Change your state, and you change the world. Chapter 12. There is a threshold that few dare to cross, though it stands always before them. It is the threshold between living as a reactor and living as a creator. To live as a reactor is to let circumstances dictate your emotions, to let appearances govern your belief, to let outer events become your inner law. To live as a creator is to reverse the flow, to let inner conviction govern outer events, to let imagination precede evidence, to let the invisible rule the visible. Most live their entire lives as reactors, never realizing that the key to transformation has always been in their own hands. Pause and consider this. How often have you said, "If only this would change, then I would be happy. If only they would love me, then I would feel worthy. If only I had more money, then I would feel secure." This is the language of a reactor. It places power outside of you, waiting for the world to give before you can receive. But the law of creation turns this upside down. You must feel worthy before love arrives. You must feel secure before wealth appears. You must feel joyful before circumstances change. The cause is always within. The effect is always without. To reverse this order is to live in endless delay. There was once a man who spent years longing for recognition in his work. Each day he told himself, "When others finally see my talent, I will feel valuable." Yet no matter how much effort he poured into his craft, recognition eluded him. At last, exhausted, he stumbled upon an ancient teaching: live inwardly as though it were already so. That night he closed his eyes and imagined himself receiving praise. He felt the warmth of validation, the pride of accomplishment, the joy of being seen. He rehearsed it until his heart swelled with certainty. Within months, the recognition he once chased began to appear. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because he crossed the threshold. He stopped reacting and began creating. This is the shift you are being invited into. It is subtle, yet it changes everything. To live as a creator is not to deny the outer world, but to understand its nature. The outer is only the shadow, the echo, the reflection. You cannot argue with the echo. You can only change the word that produced it. You cannot scold the shadow. You can only change the object casting it. When you embrace this, you cease fighting appearances and instead nurture the inner cause. And when the cause changes, the effect cannot help but follow. But the ego resists this truth. The ego thrives on blame. It says, "My life is this way because of them, because of that, because of circumstance." The ego seeks power outside of itself, and in doing so it remains small. Yet when you dare to say, "I am the cause, I am the dreamer, I am the projector," the ego trembles. For in that moment, you reclaim the power it has always hidden from you. Responsibility is not burden, it is liberation. It means you are never truly powerless. Consider water. Pour it into a cup, and it becomes the cup. Pour it into a riverbed, and it becomes the river. Pour it into a vast sea, and it becomes the ocean. The shape of water depends entirely on the vessel that holds it. So too with consciousness. Your state is the vessel, and life flows into that shape. Change the vessel, and the water must follow. Change your state, and the world must conform. But how do you make this shift permanent? The answer is persistence. The old state will try to return, whispering with the voice of memory, "You are not enough. You have always failed." Nothing ever changes. Do not wrestle with these voices. Do not argue. Instead, gently return to your chosen state. Imagine again, feel again, assume again. Each return strengthens the new vessel until the old one crumbles. Persistence is the true mark of mastery. Not force, not struggle, but the quiet decision to return again and again until the new becomes natural. There was once a woman who longed for health after years of illness. Each day, her body reminded her of limitation. Yet she persisted in imagining herself vibrant. She closed her eyes and saw herself running, laughing, glowing with energy. Each time pain arose, she did not curse it. She returned to her vision. Each time doubt whispered, she returned again. For months, nothing changed outwardly, but inwardly, her state grew stronger. And then, slowly, her body began to follow. Energy returned, health blossomed. Doctors marveled, calling it miraculous. But she knew it was not a miracle, it was law. She had persisted until the shadow obeyed the light. You, too, can persist. Choose one desire and refuse to let appearances sway you. Live in the end, not as a visitor, but as a resident. Each time you falter, return. Each time you doubt, return. Each time you fail, return. In time, the return itself becomes unnecessary, for the state will become your dwelling place. And when it does, the outer world must yield. Let us turn this into practice. Tonight, before sleep, close your eyes and imagine one simple scene that would imply your desire is already fulfilled. If wealth is your aim, imagine yourself handing money to a loved one as a gift. If love is your aim, imagine yourself receiving a smile of devotion. If health is your aim, imagine yourself stretching with ease. Do not imagine the entire life. Imagine only one short, vivid scene, then step into it fully. Feel the textures, the sounds, the emotions. Let it be so real that you fall asleep within it. This is the secret door. The subconscious accepts the scene as truth, and once accepted, it begins to weave reality accordingly. Repeat this nightly. Do not measure results. Do not demand speed. Trust the law. The seed does not sprout the day after it is planted, yet the soil is already at work. So it is with your imagination. The harvest will come not by force, but by law. Understand, to live as a creator is not to control the entire universe. It is to control the state within you, and to trust the universe to reflect it faithfully. The river does not ask how the ocean will receive it, it simply flows. The flame does not ask how the darkness will respond, it simply shines. Live as a creator, and the world will harmonize. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, practice this shift consciously. Each time you catch yourself reacting to circumstances, whether with fear, anger, or despair, pause and ask, am I living as a reactor or as a creator? Then, in that very moment, choose to return to the state you desire. Imagine one small act from the life you wish to live, feel it, and carry it with you. By the end of 7 days, you will feel a new rhythm stirring within, the rhythm of a creator who no longer waits for life to change, but commands it by state. The threshold is before you now. You can remain as a reactor, tossed by the winds of circumstance, or you can step across and live as a creator, shaping reality from within. The choice has always been yours. And once you choose, once you persist, once you dwell in the state of your desire fulfilled, you will find that life bends. Not sometimes, not occasionally, but always. For the law cannot be broken. Chapter 13. There is a sacred mystery at the heart of life that few pause to contemplate. The invisible is always greater than the visible. What you see around you, the walls, the sky, the people, the circumstances, are only the outer garments of deeper forces moving beneath. The visible is the effect, the shadow, the echo. The invisible is the cause, the source, the true power. And the most transformative realization you can come to is this: the invisible within you, your imagination, your belief, your assumption, is the architect of the visible around you. This is why mystics and sages across ages taught in whispers and parables. Do not worship appearances. Do not mistake the shadow for the substance. Appearances may shout with urgency, but they are powerless without the inner cause. A mirror may reflect a frown, but it cannot create one. The echo may return a word, but it cannot speak first. In the same way, the outer world cannot act independently of the inner state you sustain. Imagine a great tree, its branches spread wide, its fruit abundant or barren, its leaves green or withered. The casual observer judges the tree by what they see above the soil. But the wise gardener knows the truth lies below, in the roots, in the unseen nourishment, in the hidden depth. To change the fruit, you must change the root. To heal the branches, you must feed the roots. So too with your life. The root is your state, your inner conviction. The branches and fruit are the circumstances. Most try to pluck at fruit or polish leaves, never realizing that true change happens in the invisible root. There was once a wealthy merchant who, despite all his riches, felt cursed by loneliness. He traveled from city to city, showered gifts upon those he wished to love, yet found himself betrayed time and again. In despair, he asked a teacher, "Why does life deny me love when I give so much?" The teacher replied, "Because you give from emptiness. Your state is loneliness, and no amount of gold can change the reflection." The merchant wept, for he realized that he had carried within himself the vibration of abandonment, and the world had merely mirrored it. From that day, he ceased trying to buy affection and began to dwell inwardly in the state of love fulfilled. Each night, he imagined himself embraced, seen, cherished. Over time, his state shifted, and so did the world around him. New companions entered his life, drawn not by his wealth, but by his presence. The outer had not changed first. The invisible had. This is the path you are being invited into, to shift your allegiance from appearances to the unseen. For as long as you let appearances dictate your state, you will remain their prisoner. But when you reverse the order, when you let your state dictate appearances, you become free. The outer world may resist for a time, for old echoes still linger, but persistence will always bend it. The soil cannot refuse the seed forever. You may ask, how do I train myself to trust the invisible when the visible screams louder? The answer is practice. Each time appearances arise, remind yourself, this is the shadow of yesterday. Today, I choose the unseen truth. If lack appears, affirm abundance inwardly. If rejection appears, affirm love. If weakness appears, affirm strength. Do not fight the shadow. Simply persist in the new inner light, and the shadow must eventually conform. Let us take an example. A woman, struggling with debt, begins to imagine herself wealthy. At first, the bills on her table shout louder than her vision. Doubt whispers, "You are lying to yourself." But each night, she returns to her imagination, feeling the relief of freedom, the joy of generosity. She persists even when no evidence appears, and slowly her state changes. She carries herself differently, speaks differently, chooses differently. Opportunities arise, not as miracles, but as reflections of her new state. In time, her outer world matches her inner assumption. The bills no longer shout, for they have been dissolved. This is the law. Sustain the invisible long enough, and the visible must yield. Here lies the hidden power of faith. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is loyalty to the unseen cause, even when the visible effect contradicts it. Faith says, though the soil looks barren, I know the seed is sprouting beneath. Faith says, though the mirror shows lack, I know the image I hold will soon appear. Faith is not blindness. It is vision beyond sight. It is seeing with the inner eye, the eye that shapes reality itself. Practice this. Tonight, close your eyes and choose one desire. Imagine it fulfilled, not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. Feel the gratitude, the relief, the joy, as though it were already so. Then whisper softly, "The unseen is greater than the seen. The cause is greater than the effect. My inner truth will soon clothe itself in outer form. Fall asleep in that faith and let your subconscious carry it into creation. When you rise, guard this faith. Appearances may shout their old song, but do not dance to it. Return to your inner melody. Repeat your vision. Nourish your unseen roots. In time, the fruit will change, and when it does, you will look back in awe, realizing that the invisible was always the true power, and the visible was only its servant. There is another mystery. The invisible is not only within you, it connects you to everything. Your thoughts ripple into the field of life. Your states influence the very fabric of reality. This is why synchronicities arise, why strangers appear at the right time, why opportunities fall like fruit from unseen branches. You are not isolated. You are woven into the cosmic tapestry, and the vibration you sustain pulls threads toward you in perfect harmony. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, dedicate a few minutes each morning to affirming the invisible. Place your hand upon your chest and say aloud, "The invisible within me shapes the visible around me. I trust the root more than the fruit. I trust the cause more than the effect." Then visualize one small outcome as though it were already here. A smile, a payment, a gesture of love. Carry this vision with you, not as hope, but as certainty. Watch how life begins to echo it, first in subtle ripples, then in undeniable waves. Understand this: the visible is fleeting, the invisible eternal. The visible shifts, the invisible sustains. The visible echoes, the invisible commands. When you anchor yourself in the unseen, you step into your true power. No storm can shake you, no appearance can sway you, for you know the truth. The world is your mirror, and you are the one holding the image. Chapter 14. The greatest secret of the law of attraction is not in striving, nor in forcing, nor even in endlessly asking. It is in being. To be is far greater than to want. To want is to declare separation. I do not yet have. To be is to declare unity. It is already mine. When you move from wanting into being, you cross the threshold from delay into fulfillment. And the law, ever faithful, reflects not your wishes, but your state of being. Think of a flame. It does not strive to burn, it simply burns. It does not cry out for oxygen, it simply exists as fire, and oxygen rushes to meet it. The flame is not anxious about whether it will shine. It shines, and in shining it sustains itself. This is the way of being. When you dwell in the state of already having, you no longer struggle to draw it in. Life rushes to meet you, for you are already aligned with it. Most people live in the vibration of wanting. They say, "I want wealth, I want love, I want peace." Yet the very vibration of wanting declares, "I lack." And the mirror, perfect and merciless, reflects that lack. But when you dare to shift the declaration to, "I am wealthy, I am loved, I am at peace," the vibration changes. The mirror cannot resist. It must reflect the new image. The universe is not granting you something new. It is echoing who you are now. There was once a farmer who prayed endlessly for rain. Day after day he lifted his hands to the sky, begging the clouds to gather. Yet the sky remained clear, the ground dry. One day, a wise traveler stopped by his field and asked, "Why do you pray with such desperation?" The farmer replied, "Because I need rain, and it has not come." The traveler shook his head and said, Pray not as one who needs, but as one who has. Feel the rain upon your skin. See the puddles at your feet. Hear the thunder roll in your heart. Give thanks as though it has already fallen. The farmer, though skeptical, tried that night. He closed his eyes and imagined rain drenching his crops, imagined himself splashing through the mud, imagined the scent of wet earth rising. Gratitude filled him, though the sky outside remained dry. Yet within days, clouds formed and rain poured. He learned then what few ever understand. The universe does not respond to begging, it responds to being. This is the heart of the practice, to live as though it is already done. If you seek wealth, do not rehearse poverty in your thoughts, do not declare lack in your words. Live in the state of wealth now. Walk with ease, speak with generosity, give thanks as though your life overflows. If you seek love, do not dwell on loneliness, live in the state of love now. Smile as though cherished, carry yourself as though chosen, breathe as though embraced. If you seek health, do not magnify weakness, live in the state of health now. Move as though strong, eat as though nourished, rest as though whole. You may ask, but what if I feel like I am pretending? At first, it will feel so. The old state has been worn like a garment for years, perhaps decades. To put on the new state may feel strange, like wearing new shoes not yet broken in, but the more you persist, the more it becomes natural. The child learning to walk stumbles again and again, yet persists until walking is second nature. So it is with states. Persist until the new becomes natural, and when it is natural, reality must obey. Here is another story. A young man longed for success in business, yet year after year he failed. He told himself, I will succeed when I finally get the right opportunity. But each time, the opportunity slipped away. Finally, weary, he asked himself, what state am I living in? He realized he had been living as one who tries, not as one who already is. From that day, he changed. Each morning he affirmed, I am successful now. He carried himself as though his business thrived, spoke as though confident, moved as though doors were already open. At first, nothing shifted outwardly, but inwardly he changed. And soon, opportunities appeared because the world could no longer resist the vibration of one who already was. This is not arrogance nor delusion, it is alignment. To live as though already having is to claim your inheritance, to honor the truth that all possibilities exist within you. The state you inhabit determines which possibility crystallizes. Let me guide you into a practice. Tonight, choose one desire. Close your eyes and imagine not the process, but the end. If you long for wealth, imagine yourself writing a check with ease or giving freely to another. If you long for love, imagine yourself at home, sharing laughter at the dinner table. If you long for health, imagine yourself walking briskly in the sun, your body strong and light. Feel it until your body responds with joy, until your heart beats faster in recognition. Then, instead of opening your eyes and saying, one day, declare softly, now. Carry that vibration with you tomorrow. Let your posture, your words, your choices flow from that being. This is how you move from wanting to being. And when the old state rises, as it will, do not despair. Simply return. Do not wrestle with the old. It is only an echo. Let it pass and step once more into your chosen state. Each return strengthens the new garment until you no longer need to return, for you are dwelling there fully. Understand this. To want is to wait. To be is to have. The universe does not delay, it reflects. The moment you embody the state, reality begins to rearrange. It may take time for the old shadows to fade, but the law is unbreakable. The harvest must come to the seed sustained. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, begin each morning with this declaration: Today I live in the state of my desire fulfilled. Then act as though it is so. If abundance is your aim, tip generously, speak freely, give thanks often. If love is your aim, express affection to strangers, radiate warmth, carry yourself with dignity. If health is your aim, walk with strength, breathe deeply, move gratefully. Do not wait for outer confirmation. Let your inner being be the confirmation. The outer will follow in time, for it has no choice. The flame does not ask, "Will I burn if wood is placed before me?" It simply burns, and the wood is consumed. You too must burn with the state of your desire fulfilled. And as you burn, the world will feed the flame, not because it is persuaded, but because it cannot do otherwise. To want is to wander in deserts. To be is to arrive at the oasis. The choice is before you now. Will you linger in wanting or step into being? The moment you choose, life rearranges. The mirror reflects. The echo returns, and you discover the greatest truth of all. You are not chasing your desire, you are being it. Chapter 15. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the veil grows thin, when the teachings are no longer just words, but living truth. You are approaching that moment now. For all along, this path has not been about learning something new, but about remembering what you already are. The law of attraction, as it is called, is not a technique, not a trick, not even a secret. It is simply the way reality has always worked. You do not have to force it. You do not have to beg for it. You do not have to wonder whether it is operating for you. It is operating always, as faithfully as gravity, as unfailingly as the rising of the sun. The true question is no longer, does it work? The true question is, who am I choosing to be? For it is not your wishes that shape your destiny, it is your state of being. And your state is always within your control. No matter how loud appearances may roar, you can step into abundance in the midst of lack. You can embody love in the face of loneliness. You can feel strength even while weakness lingers in the body. The state comes first, and the world bends after. Always. Once there was a sage who lived by the ocean. People came from distant lands to ask for his wisdom. One young man asked, "Master, how do I know if the law is working for me?" The sage pointed to the waves and said, "Does the tide choose to rise for one man and not another? No, it rises because that is its nature. The law is not sometimes working, it is always working. The ocean does not ask whether you are worthy. It simply responds to the moon, and the universe does not ask whether you deserve. It simply responds to your state. It is all man." The young man frowned and asked, "Then why do I not yet see what I desire?" The sage replied, "Because you are standing on the shore waiting for the wave to arrive, instead of stepping into the water where it already flows." The lesson was clear. Stop waiting for evidence. Stop postponing your joy. Stop declaring that someday, one day, eventually you will live. Step into the ocean now. Feel the tide upon your skin now. Be now what you once thought you could only have later. This is the final initiation, to collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment, between prayer and answer, between dream and reality. to live as though it is already so, to trust the invisible more than the visible, to make your inner world the authority, and to let the outer world obey in due time. Think of the great oak tree. Inside the acorn lies its destiny. If the acorn could speak, it might cry out, "One day I will be tall, one day I will stand strong, one day I will spread my branches wide." But the truth is, the oak is already within the acorn. It does not become, it only unfolds. So too with you, the wealth, the love, the joy, the peace you long for are not separate from you. They are already within you, waiting to unfold. The law of attraction is simply the process of allowing that unfolding. But to allow, you must stop contradicting yourself. Stop planting the seed and then uprooting it with doubt. Stop declaring abundance in the morning and poverty by noon. Stop rehearsing love in meditation and rehearsing rejection in conversation. The law cannot yield two harvests from the same soil. Choose one seed, nurture it, water it, persist in it, and it must grow. The soil is faithful. The law is unbreakable. Now, let us turn to practice, your final sacred practice in this journey. Tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and choose the one vision that matters most to you. See it in detail, not as fantasy, but as fact. Feel it until your body responds. Then whisper softly, "It is done. It is done. It is done." Do not look tomorrow for signs. Do not ask whether it is working. Simply live as though it is already true. Carry the conviction that the seed is planted and the harvest is inevitable. Each day, nurture this conviction with gratitude, with imagination, with persistence. And when doubt arises, return to the simple phrase, "It is done." For this is the highest truth. The moment you assume, the moment you embody, the moment you live in the state of your desire fulfilled, it is done. Time is only the unfolding. Appearances are only the echo. The reality you desire is already alive within you, and it will manifest without you as faithfully as the seed becomes the tree. So now the choice is yours. Will you continue to wait, to want, to wander in longing, or will you step fully into being, into assumption, into certainty? Will you live as a reactor or as a creator? Will you dwell in delay or in fulfillment? The law has never withheld from you. It has only echoed you. Change your echo, and you change your world. Remember this: you are not a beggar before the universe. You are its author. You are not hoping for crumbs from a distant table. You are seated at the banquet now. You are not waiting for life to begin. It has already begun, and you are the one who writes its script. Take the pen, choose the scene, assume the state, live in the end, and the universe, ever faithful, will bow to your vision. Sacred practice. For the next 21 days, begin and end each day with this declaration: "It is done. I am already living my fulfilled desire." Speak it with conviction, with certainty, with joy. Do not wait for proof. Let your state be the proof. Let your body, your voice, your choices carry the vibration of one who already has. This practice will engrave the truth into your being until it becomes natural, until it becomes effortless, until the outer world can no longer resist. And when it arrives, and it will, you will not be surprised. For you will know that it was never a matter of chance, never a matter of fate. It was always law. It was always reflection. It was always you. Conclusion. And now the circle closes. You have walked through vision and belief, through state and reflection, through imagination and assumption. You have heard the parables of the farmer, the merchant, the widow, the traveler. You have been reminded again and again that the universe is not against you, that the law is not random, that nothing is outside of you. The truth is simple, yet it changes everything. The world is your mirror, and your state is the image it reflects. This audiobook has not given you power. It has only reminded you of the power you always carried. It has peeled away the veil of forgetfulness so that you might see clearly what was always so, that your imagination is the womb of creation, that your belief is the river carving your destiny, that your words are spells shaping the air, that your state is the silent decree to which the universe cannot help but bow. So what will you do now? Will you close this book and return to delay, to doubt, to longing, or will you rise into the truth you have now heard with new ears? The choice is before you. The law is waiting, the mirror is ready, the projector is humming. All it awaits is the image you will place upon it. Do not wait another day. Do not say, "Tomorrow I will begin." Tomorrow is an illusion, a shadow that never arrives. Only now is real, only now carries power. Choose now, assume now, live now, speak now, for the universe does not deliver when you are ready. It delivers when you are being, and you can be right now. Take with you the sacred practices, the nightly scene of your desire fulfilled, the morning declaration of your chosen state, the watchful guarding of your attention, the grateful heart that affirms it is done. Use them not as rituals to earn favor, but as reminders of what is already true. And as you persist, you will see the harvest, not as a miracle, but as law, not as fortune, but as reflection. And when it arrives, when the abundance flows, when love embraces you, when health radiates, when peace surrounds you, you will smile, not because you are surprised, but because you finally remembered. You will know that you were never separate, never powerless, never waiting. You were always the dreamer, the creator, the author, the flame. So step forward now. Walk in the authority of your inner vision. Clothe yourself in the state of your desire fulfilled. Live as though it is already so, and the world, faithful and flawless, will rise to meet you. This is the last law of attraction book you will ever need, because the truth it carries does not point you outward, it points you inward. And once you know that the key has always been within, no other book, no other teacher, no other method can replace your own authority. You are the source, and the universe obeys. If these words have awakened something in you, let your light ripple outward. Like this video if it resonates. Leave a comment to share the journey you are stepping into. And subscribe so that you may walk with us again in the circle of sacred teachings. This is not an ending, it is a beginning. The path is before you, and you already carry everything you need. Now go and live as though it is already done, for truly it is.